All right, welcome to the Viking Age podcast. I'm your host, Adam Patrick. I'm the editor and lead writer for thevikingage.com. And as always, I'm joined by my co host, Chris Schad, who writes for us here at the Viking Age, as well as Bring Me the News and Zone coverage. Before we get started today, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like this video. Also, make sure to follow the Viking Age on Twitter and Facebook. All right, let's just get right into it. It is Vikings and Cowboys week. The Vikings will be home inside US Bank Stadium with their 8-1 record to take on the Cowboys, who I believe are 6-3 now. Yeah, I think so. 6-3 after that loss to the Packers this past weekend. Mike McCarthy just couldn't defeat his old team, and he was super frustrated. But Vikings and Packers this weekend, I believe it's on CBS with the number one announced team, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. Fun fact: the last time the Vikings got a home win over the Cowboys was in 2010, and Tony Romo was the quarterback for the Cowboys. So now he returns, and hopefully the Vikings can snap their home losing streak against the Cowboys on Sunday. But we're going to get into some other stuff real quick. First, the first thing we have to do is talk about this little news or analysis from Football Outsiders. They're an analytics site. They do a lot of numbers and stuff to dive deeper into everything about a football team. It's not just stats. There's other stuff that goes into everything. And right now, Football Outsiders basically has the Vikings as the worst 8-1 team in NFL history based on their DVOA metric. They have a negative DVOA, which is they are the first team in NFL history to have a negative DVOA with a 8-1 record. So yeah, they've it's and their DVOA right now is 10 percentage points worse than any other 8-1 team in DVOA history. The next lowest is the 2014 Cardinals, who were 8-1 at a 7.1% DVOA. They finished with an 11-5 record, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs. They're 8-1, but still see even, and they just beat the Bills on the road. But it still seems like some people aren't sold on the Vikings, and it's a little confusing. Like, even you look at the line this weekend against the Cowboys are favored on the road against the 8-1 Vikings. Does this stuff about DVOA or any of the other stuff going on this week that the national media has been talking about, does it change your opinion at all about the Vikings' chance for success this season, Chris?
Well, as a suffering Twins fan, and anybody out there that also is a suffering Twins fan, they know how the numbers can often lie to you. For example, this is a baseball analogy, but just follow me here if you're not a baseball fan. Emilio Pagan throws 98 miles an hour, but when he throws it right down the middle of the strike zone, all those numbers and analytics don't really seem to matter. With the Vikings, it seems like the numbers don't matter. There is a group of people out there that are just sitting there screaming into the void like Jesse Pinkman inside Walter White's house. They can't keep getting away with that. They can't. And you know what? I don't know. It doesn't discredit any of their work because 98% of the time they are right. I mean, 98, you can take something from PFF or Football Outsiders or any of those numbers. It's just kind of, it's annoying. And the people who aren't on the bandwagon now aren't going to suddenly get on unless you're Emmanuel Acho, who just goes on every morning and goes, well, when you do what you do, it is what you do. And indeed, what you do is what you do. And 10 years ago, we stopped DeMarco Murray, who is no longer on this team. But we do have what we do, and what we do is what we do. And the Vikings, oh, shut the hell up. That and his Minnie Mouse looking co-host is sitting there going, well, Kirk Cousins he never was good before this. Maybe a light bulb finally turned on. Maybe this is what all the Kirk stands have wanted. I mean, they don't matter. They really don't. No. Football Outsiders, Fox Sports, ESPN, CBS,
PFF.
whoever. Like, I don't really care if Stephen A. Smith likes the Vikings or not, because if the Vikings win, it's even more fun, right?
Yeah.
So I want the detractors. I want people like this. And I mean, hearing things like, this is the worst team ever in NFL history. Well, how long has Football Outsiders been doing their data? Obviously not since 1960, whatever. So
Right.
I don't know. It is what it is. And this is not a conventional team. Like we were talking about, like each team that has surprised us in Vikings history has had a dominant trait, where it's like Brett Favre's spite, or like a nuclear warhead offense, or dominant defense. This team doesn't have any of that. There is no dominant trait on the Vikings. It's just, we're going to win the damn game. And that could backfire. The Vikings could go 500 down the stretch and get bounced out of the first round of the playoffs, whatever. I am not going to stop having fun because somebody like Football Outsiders or Emmanuel Acho goes, I don't believe in the Vikings. And I know Emmanuel like pulled a 180. And there's confusion, like if that was 24 hours or not.
That one about DeMarco Murray was like a week or two ago, I think.
No, it was a week. Yeah.
And then because he was quick in the replies, because that I know that tweet you were posting was going kind of viral, and he saw it clearly, and he was like, no. I changed my opinion. It's like
the angry Viking fans just flooding his mentions.
Yeah. But that stuff, like those, like I hate when people are like, you do it for clicks, you do it for ratings. Those shows say that stuff to get like viewers and get
that is
online.
the definition of a clickbait show.
Yeah,
like people are like, that's clickbait. No. We'll like turn on FS1. That's clickbait.
No one is like dedicated to watching those shows. They're not like, oh, I'm a huge Emmanuel Acho fan, or I'm a huge Skip Bayless fan. I gotta tune in every day.
I have never seen anybody with a throwback Emmanuel Acho jersey. Just saying, like,
no.
I don't know.
And then
or like or a Ben Lieber jersey. No offense to Ben Lieber. I think he's okay. Like, I think he's fine.
Well, guys like LaShawn McCoy's on that show and stuff, and he had his own little thing about Belichick, which is hilarious. About him like not being, he's just a regular coach. Okay, with 7 Super Bowls. Just a regular coach. But yeah, like it does. We don't have to know the answers to everything. Like we don't have to know like why this team is successful, why this team isn't. Sometimes things are just the way they are. And right now, the Vikings are 8-1. And we've talked so many times about like it doesn't matter how they win, doesn't matter who they beat. They are 8-1. Right now, that's what matters. They're tied for the best record in the entire NFL. Like, whatever, power rank them however you want. You can power rank them to be the 32nd team in the NFL. I don't care. If they're winning the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter what the analytics say or whatever. I know that people are like, well, the analytics say right now they're not even going to be close. Okay, fine. No one expected them to be even close before the season even started. So whatever they're doing from now, they've already equaled their win total from a season ago.
Yeah.
So like they're already better than they were a year ago, and better than most people thought they were going to be anyways. I think they're over under heading into the year on most betting sites was like 8.5 or 9.5. So like they're already overachieving.
Like, you're proving my point with the whole Twins thing. Like baseball, a lot of people don't like baseball and think it's boring because analytics is a big part of that. Maybe this is like old man yells at cloud type stuff, but I mean, everybody knows like the shift, right? Everybody knows where the ball's being hit, so everybody's going to play where the balls are hit, and then offense goes down, strikeouts are up because everybody exactly. That's why they banned the shift. So I mean, it broke the game. There's no athleticism in it anymore. Now with that, it's interesting to see what will happen next year. Like some of the players who are good will suddenly be good again or whatever. This isn't a baseball show. What I'm trying to get at is like, it's okay that we don't know everything about we don't know the exact launching. Well, I guess we do with next gen stats, but it's not like a Bible like some baseball teams use. It's like Kirk Cousins' launch angle on that throw is whatever. Justin Jefferson came down with 9 catches that had a 50% probability of completion rate. And like, oh wow, that's cool. Like,
but he caught him. So
yeah. And he caught them. So like, Yeah, it's
I
I don't
that's
know.
that's why I like I see some of that stuff. I'm like, wow, that kind of makes it more impressive. But at the same time, I'm like, like what does that mean or what does that matter? He caught them. Like, why do we have to be like? It was he had he 50-50 chance he gets that ball, but I feel like there should be. I don't think there's not enough weight put on like the certain players. Like Justin Jefferson, that's not a 50-50 ball. That's a 80-20 ball for Justin Jefferson. Like we saw with one hand. He That's all he needed when the player had two hands on the ball and he still got it. Like that's not a 50-50 ball for Justin Jefferson. He's more than that's the same thing with Randy Moss back in the day. Those weren't 50-50 balls. Those were 90-10 balls. Like he's
Mhm.
going to get those. So like some of this stuff is like, okay, I get it. But yeah, we got to weigh in like the players and everything. Like sometimes more has to be done to explain. I was going to ask you about like some of like the power rankings because PFF has the Vikings at seventh. I know the Ringer has them at fourth behind the Bills, even though they just beat the Bills. There's some other sides too, but like, just in your opinion, how would you rank the teams in the league right now? Do you just go
Oh
by
my god, that's putting me on the spot.
just go by straight record,
Well, that's
or
what power rankings do pretty much. And
they're
then
supposed to, but they're not. They're like,
yeah, true.
well, they keep winning these close games, even though I believe, like in the NFL this year, games are closer than they ever have been before.
It's
In the
so funny. I'm like
playoffs,
pulling up
yeah,
the league standings as we're talking here.
yeah,
Because I'm just record plays into it. Definitely. I'm not gonna put the Browns at number one,
right,
like because I believe they're better. I guess that's kind of weird when you think about it. You're not going to put a team like the Browns at number one because you believe in their offensive line or something. Why do you put the Vikings at seven, even though they're 8-1, and you don't believe in something that they do? Like, you know,
yeah.
it's kind of weird, isn't it? But
Mhm.
I don't know. Like, if you ask me who's better than the Vikings, like definitively better, the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You could make an argument for the Bills. You still could. I mean, you could say it was a fluke on Sunday. You could, 100%. Like Viking fans don't want to hear anything about that. I sure as hell don't. But I mean,
No,
you can make that argument. The Eagles, you could say they're better than the Vikings because they beat them
they
earlier.
beat him.
Are they
Yeah.
better now? I don't know. Will they be better
No.
in January? That's what matters. Like, see, I used to be really into the whole power rankings things. This isn't college football with those rankings depend
Right.
if you get in the playoffs or not.
Yeah.
It's can you beat the team in front of you? So far, the Vikings have done that no matter who the opponent is. Backup quarterbacks, bad teams, bad coaches, be damned. The Vikings have won these games. 1 year ago, they weren't winning these games because Mike Zimmer was woe is me. So not to pile on him because he's had a bad year, but that was it.
Mhm.
He made like I said, he made a freaking PowerPoint saying, "Well, Teddy's knee exploded and Norv hated me and everything else, and it's I'm the victim here." No, like the Vikings are like, "No, you're the victim. We are going to make you
Mhm.
the victim." That
Mhm.
is what is going to happen
Yeah.
here. So there is a huge shift in how this team has done business. So
Well, and I think I listened to a podcast yesterday with Ty Dunn. He was on like the Ringer NFL show or whatever, saying how the Vikings can win the Super Bowl, and it has a
why
lot to
not?
do with their culture. Exactly, why not? But he was saying how like this is the first time I like kind of an argument about culture that because we hear that all the time, like oh the changing culture has a but he made a good point on how with Zimmer, a lot of his defenders or whatever at the end of the game, they were afraid to maybe take a risk or go out and make a play because they knew they'd get chewed out in the meeting room or whatever, like the next couple of days. So they just kind of just didn't. They just were just normal and didn't maybe reach their potential. But with Kevin O'Connell, these guys are okay with, okay, if I whatever I make a mistake, it's okay. I'll get another chance. But so they're feeling more
Player
confident. They're playing to the end of plays. They're not afraid in the fourth quarter to make mistakes. Like this has Kevin O'Connell's made a lot bigger impact on more than just calling plays, and it's why this team is 8-1. And yeah, culture has a lot to do with it. So I just wanted to say that. And what else was I gonna say? I don't know. They're 8-1. Yeah, like you said, it's not college football. I don't care about the rankings right now. Right now, power rankings are, another thing to stir up controversy or whatever. Like PFF knows if they put the Vikings at 7, that article or whatever is gonna get more looks than if they just put the Vikings at 2 or 3. They know that
Mhm.
because people are gonna swarm and be like, why? But shout out to Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk for putting the Vikings at number 1. Now, he is a Vikings fan, so that might have something to do with it. But he's been like a vocal Vikings fan, like, he thought they were gonna be like 2 weeks ago, he was tweeting about how they're gonna be 6-5 at Thanksgiving. So
Yeah.
he wasn't fully on board, but he watched the Vikings go into Buffalo, beat the Bills, and I keep hearing about how the Bills lost, that game or whatever, and the Vikings didn't win, and it's just like they were down 17. What, the Bills didn't just hand them the ball and be like, "Here, walk in the end
Technically,
zone."
they did
Well,
at the
they did
very
at
end
the
of
end there.
regulation.
And I've also heard this point. Imagine if Kirk Cousins threw 2 red zone interceptions and fumbled the ball, on the goal line to give the other team a touchdown. Imagine how many people would be like, "Oh, same old Kirk Cousins just lost the game for the Vikings again." Nothing
Kirky's
on
back,
Josh
y'all.
nothing on Josh Allen. Josh Allen's still an MVP candidate, he is. He's a very good player. He made a lot of plays in that game too, but, like, turn the tables around and it's a much different narrative. But yeah, power rankings, they are what they are. Vikings are 8-1. No one can take that away from them. And I think that's probably the message that Kevin O'Connell's saying to his guys too. Like, who cares? We're 8-1. Go ahead. People can say whatever they want about us. We're 8-1. We're gonna keep winning and doing what we do. It's worked so far. So just keep doing. All right. Switching ahead. Um, just a guess. What would you say Kirk Cousins MVP odds right now are according to FanDuel in terms of like
Um,
ranking? Like,
oh, like where he is in the ranks?
is he number 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah.
Um, 18th,
He's 7th.
7th.
He's got the
Okay.
7th best quarter of MVP chances right now, according to FanDuel. Behind Patrick Mahomes, number 1, Josh Allen's number 2, Tua's number 3, Jalen Hurts number 4, Lamar Jackson number 5, Joe Burrow number 6. Now I don't know about that. And then actually Kirk Cousins and Geno Smith are both tied for the 7th best MVP odds right now. Any guesses where Justin Jefferson ranks?
Is he 18th?
Nope, he is 13th. So still pretty good. 13th at plus 10,000 odds, so very high odds. And he's not the highest wide receiver. He doesn't have the best MVP odds among NFL receivers. Any guesses, real quick? One last guessing game for you. Who the receiver is that has better MVP odds than Justin Jefferson this year? The Vikings played him this year, by the way.
Viking AJ Brown.
Nope. Tyreek Hill. He
Oh, okay.
has the
Yeah,
best.
he's going nuts. That's right.
Yeah, best MVP odds among NFL
I don't know
receivers.
though. I feel like Miami's MVP, so to speak, is Mike McDaniel.
Yes.
Outside of the little
Yes.
hiccup with the whole concussion thing, he's
Mhm.
really unleashed that offense and made the most out of it. Yeah, I mean, I put Kirk 18th just like off the top of my head, A, because it's Justin Jefferson's number, and I think that's propelling him.
Yeah.
But B, there's a lot of people out there nationally that are just like, yeah, this isn't Kirk Cousins. Like, this isn't,
Right. And
you know.
at the end of the day, I believe it's most of the time it's the writers that vote on the MVP. It's not like voted by the players or anything, I don't think.
Quick
So,
question though.
yeah.
What is Kirk O'Chain's
Oh yeah.
MVP odds? Is he
That's gotta
number
be
one?
he's top 3 for sure.
They don't put him on the board because they already know. They
Yeah.
just took him off the board. We're like, we're not letting you bet for Kirk O'Chain's. We'll let you bet for Kirk Cousins, not Kirk O'Chain's.
Yeah. That's a good argument, it's he's up there. What do you think it would take for Justin Jefferson to win MVP this year? Does he have to just does everyone have to get injured pretty much for him to get MVP?
3,000 yards.
Yeah.
I don't understand. So, like last year, and I know the Colts didn't make the playoffs, but like Jonathan Taylor
Yeah.
was probably the best player in football.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers won MVP.
Yeah.
Like it is a quarterback only award, which drives me nuts. Offensive Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, Justin Herbert won over Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Now Justin Herbert's a good quarterback and he
Yeah.
had a pretty good year, but I mean Justin Jefferson is top 3 receiver in the NFL. I can't say Justin Herbert's a top 3 quarterback. You could make that argument, maybe
Yeah.
with like contract and all that other stuff mixed in.
Analytics.
Analytics, yes, the
Yeah.
analytics.
No receiver in
Shoot.
NFL history has won the MVP, and there's just a reason for that. Quarterbacks are favored more. If you're a running back and you win an MVP, you have to play
Who's
out of your
getting
mind.
him the ball?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair argument. But at the same time, just like like we talked, those 50-50 balls with Justin Jefferson, they're not 50-50 balls. And there's a reason for that because he's a better receiver than almost anybody, probably anybody in the NFL. But whenever I look at MVP, I'm like, take this player off this team, and how good would they be? And I think if you took Justin Jefferson off, the Vikings would not be as good as they are right now, obviously. But would they be okay? I think so. I think they'd be able to move along. If you take Kirk Cousins off the Vikings, I don't know if they're above 500. And that's weird to say because like Kirk Cousins is not elite or whoever you want to talk about. But yeah, it's just hard with receivers because they only get so many chances to make an impact on the game. And I know they make an impact other ways with like blocking and just taking attention off of other receivers on their team. But it's just so hard for a receiver to get like those MVP votes or interest. Like they got to do above, and he's got to have like 30 touchdowns and 3,000 yards, which is not going to happen this year. At least not this year. Maybe in the future, but not this year. So yeah, the chances are very low of Justin Jefferson getting MVP. Would you say he's been the MVP on the Vikings though this year?
Yes, I think so. I mean,
Who's second?
he's Zadarius Smith.
Yeah.
I think it's Justin Jefferson first, Zadarius second. Hey, we should talk about this though. Christian Darrisaw, he might be one of the most valuable players. And I mean, offensive linemen don't get that clout, but I mean, he is like putting up clean slates week after week after week. And, when we talk about Sunday's game against the Cowboys, that scares the hell out of me because he did not practice on Wednesday. So hopefully they get Christian Darrisaw back against that offense or that defensive line of the Cowboys because it is good. They rely on the front four to get pressure. So if you don't have Christian Darrisaw in there, who's all pro, all world offensive tackle, which I didn't see that coming at the beginning of the year, that's a problem. So yes, if we're going top 3, I would go Jefferson, Smith, Darrisaw.
Yeah, I think I want to say the earliest he can even be out of the concussion protocol is either today, Thursday, or tomorrow.
Well, and he's been on his phone all week. He's been active on social media. So I mean, you would think, like, I've never had a concussion. So
yeah,
I mean,
it's different when it comes to tweeting and posting on Instagram and stuff than it is, going against Von Miller or Micah Parsons.
I don't know. I've usually struggled to craft the perfect tweet.
Yeah,
so,
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play because Blake Brandel, he did pretty good in his as his replacement. Now, going against DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons is going to be different and probably harder. But he held up good. Ezra Cleveland got back on track. Ed Ingram's got to figure out where Kirk Cousins' feet are and stop stepping on them. Brian O'Neill did very good again. So, if I think the Vikings, this regime or whatever, in terms of keeping guys healthy, I wouldn't be surprised if they kept Darrisaw out because I feel like they're a little more extra cautious with that stuff because they're like, would we rather have him for one game or would we rather have him for the rest of the season? I think they would rather have him for the rest of the season. And if it results in a loss for the Vikings, oh well, because they still have the rest of the season. But yeah,
When
Christian
I think
Darrisaw.
those backup players have more confidence too in this regime.
Yeah.
Like it felt, remember Mike Zimmer said at the beginning of last year, he's like, I only trust less than half of my
Well, it feels
roster
like they're working
or
with
whatever
them
it was.
actually, like where it
Yeah,
felt like they were ignored by Mike Zimmer. It's like, well, you're not a
right,
starter, so why do I even gotta help you? Which is
right.
weird because he was like when he first got to the Vikings, he was big on like development and everything, and towards the end, he was just like, I don't care.
That's what being on the hot seat will do to you. He's
Oh
like,
yeah.
my best players are going to determine the game. Why am I going to waste time on developing guys behind them?
To
And
be f- to
that's
be
what
fair,
skewed his, yeah,
Rick Spielman did not provide him with a lot of talent in the draft. Now he
true.
did give him Darisaw and stuff, but this current regime also cut pretty much the entire 2021 class. So that's what Zimmer was working with. I believe the class that they brought in this year has had a little bit more of an impact. You look at guys like Caleb Evans and Brian Asamoah and some guys like that. Um, but yeah, Christian Darisaw, you could say, arguably the MVP of the Vikings this year, behind Justin Jefferson and Zadarius Smith. Yeah, Zadarius Smith's just been like I'm always worried every time he's got a knee thing going on. Like every week, it seems like he hits knees or it flares up or whatever, and it's just like just make it, just make it through the rest of the season. Come on, come on, come on. Because and I know Danielle Hunter's playing much better. Like since the bye, he's been the basically the Danielle Hunter that we thought he was going to be. Um, so maybe if Zadarius Smith has to miss some time or he gets hurt, God forbid, the rest of the season, it's not as big of a blow as it would have been before the bye because I think Danielle Hunter can kind of make up for that. And DJ Wan has been playing well, and Patrick Jones, the sequel, has been playing well. But yeah, Zadarius Smith definitely. I think he has the most pressures in the NFL this year, according to PFF. So he's been awesome. And the Packers are paid for him, so it makes it even better. All right, let's move on to this weekend's game between the Vikings and Cowboys. Inside US Bank Stadium, 3:25 Central Time kickoff on CBS. It is two NFC teams playing each other, but sometimes they switch things up, I guess, now. Jim Nance and Tony Romo will be getting the call. I was trying to find this out, but I don't think the Vikings have ever won with Tony Romo and Jim Nance on the call. I couldn't find that definitively anywhere, and I would have to take more time to figure that out. But I think that's the case. So if anyone listening knows that, just post it in the comments or whatever that is true or not. The Cowboys are currently favored by 1.5 over the Vikings on the road, which is weird. Because like we said, they just lost the Packers on the road. The Packers, who are not good, and the Vikings are 8-1, and the Cowboys are 6-3. But for some reason, Cowboys favored by 1.5. Maybe it's because of the close games thing, and Vegas is just trying to get ahead one way or the other. But yeah, 1.5. Obviously, the weather is going to be fine because it's going to be indoors. And the over under is 47.5 points, according to FanDuel. Chris, the Vikings will win on Sunday if they do what?
Run the ball.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, so I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I think Justin Jefferson could go for 200 yards on Sunday, especially if Anthony Brown is out. He currently has a concussion, got a limited practice in on Wednesday. We'll see how protocol goes, but the Cowboys have been gashed on the ground the last couple of weeks. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I mean, they gave up a ton of yards to the Bears. They
Did you
gave up
mean Anthony Barr?
no, Anthony Brown,
Oh, okay,
cornerback.
okay, because Anthony Barr's hurt too, because that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
he's limited with a hamstring.
Yeah, okay.
Revenge game. Seems like we have one every week now.
J-Ron Curse too. Don't forget about him.
J-Ron Curse. Yes. It's called an Uber, bro. Anyway, Dallas has been really bad in run defense, and Micah Parsons finally went off about it after the Packers lost because there are guys just, in his words, doing their own thing and creating big freaking holes. Brian Baldinger has a breakdown out on Twitter right now, and he's just like, what are they doing here? Who plays defense like this? And if you give Dalvin Cook a big hole like that, he's going to take it about 70, 80 yards to the house. Ask the Bills how that went. So I think that the running game is going to be very key in this game. And I think it's going to be one way to offset maybe the potential loss of Christian Darrisaw for Sunday's game. I think it's a big Dalvin Cook game on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree. I believe they do got to run the ball. I know they're probably gonna still pass like they have been. I don't think Kirk Cousins is gonna throw 50 times like he did last week, but the Bills had a much better run defense than the Cowboys do, at least in the last few weeks. I think they're with 29th in the NFL in rushing yards allowed. They've allowed over 200 rushing yards in their last 2 games, 207 on the ground to the Packers, 240 on the ground to the Bears. Which
Number one rushing offense in the league, though. I
mean,
mean,
that's
the thing with the Cowboys too is they've faced three of the 4 worst rushing offenses in the league, including the Rams, who they held to 38 yards because they don't have a running back. But yeah,
and Dalvin Cook's kind of been hot and cold. He's his season has been kind of Adrian Peterson-esque, where like he's just like getting a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, lost there, and then boom, gets a 70-yard run. It's like, where have we seen this before? But then he also adds another element as a receiver, except when it's 4th and goal and you gotta catch the ball and you're wide open. Boy, did he get saved, because we would have been talking about him.
Yeah.
If not for that offsides call, which was already offsides before the guy even got there, because like multiple Bills players lined up in the neutral zone. These refs were terrible. Oh man,
it's insane.
But yeah. And guess what? They still get to like go next week and do the same thing to some other team. No penalties or nothing, or it's weird.
All of the holding penalties.
Yeah. So yeah, you run the ball against the Cowboys. They seem to be struggling against stopping that. Seems like a easy formula that bodes well, I think, for someone like Ed Ingram, who's been a good run blocker this year. Same thing with Garrett Bradbury. And keep those guys maybe out of, and it'll help with play action too, which we know Kirk Cousins is good at, and that'll help. I feel like TJ Hawkinson might have a big impact on this game, because he's been another great addition to this Vikings offense. I think he's added another element. He's been on the field for 90% of their offensive snaps the last 2 weeks. I threw this out on Twitter for reference. Irv Smith was never on the field for more than 64%. So TJ Hawkinson is having a huge impact since he's been added to the Vikings. So yeah, run the ball, Vikings. Run the ball. Hey, and Greg Joseph, make a kick at home. You haven't made one since week 1. Make a kick at home. Practice. Go just like I feel like every day this week he should practice in US Bank Stadium. Like, you don't
drive
practice
him over. Get the Uber.
Just go. Hasn't made a kick, a field goal since week 1. The Vikings will lose on Sunday if what happens?
They will lose if they can't protect Kirk Cousins. Like I just got done talking about the running game, but I mean, that Darrisaw thing very much concerns me. You also have injuries in the secondary. Caleb Evans is also dealing with a concussion. Andrew Booth did the whole in sync bye turnaround trying to guard Stephon Diggs. So I have 3 sisters and no brothers, so I know exactly what it is.
I do.
They got some NSYNC's got some bangers though.
Oh yeah, Christmas album. I always rock the Christmas album.
I hate Christmas music. I'll go on the record right now. Okay, so here's my thing about can I go into a rant here? This is more interesting than my breakdown. But Christmas music is the same 12 songs sang by different people. Honestly, you think not, but after working at a quick trip and getting blasted with 8 hours of nonstop Christmas music for a straight month, now they do it a little bit sooner because everybody decided like November 1st is Christmas time now. So like, they just play like there is a perfect meme out there. It's a picture of Bret Hart and Macho Man Randy Savage coming off the top rope. And it's like me minding my life and all I want for Christmas is you, like coming off the top rope. That is how I feel about Christmas music every year. I swear to God, I am not the Grinch. I love Christmas lights. Christmas lights are great. Most Christmas movies, don't do them. Christmas Vacation's the only one I watch.
Home Alone?
I think Elf. I don't have
Oh,
to watch Home Alone.
oh
I don't have to
no.
watch Elf either.
Oh no.
Come
You sure
at me.
you sure you're
Like,
not the Grinch?
I'm not the Grinch. I'm not the Grinch.
I just
And,
don't
and
think you're
if we're
listening.
talking the Grinch, give me the cartoon one over the real life one.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I don't think you're listening to the right Christmas albums because there's the classics or whatever, but there's a lot in the last few years of like artists that have come out with like original Christmas songs,
But I
and that's
feel like when they do new Christmas music, it's not good.
you got the
Like,
sleigh bells and stuff in the background. You got to have all that stuff.
or even like
so,
the new like I saw they're doing a new Christmas Story movie.
yeah,
Hate that movie.
yeah.
Like I
Hey,
can't stand it.
all right, Jingle All the Way. That's a good Christmas movie.
Sod. I don't have to. It's not one that I'm going. I have to watch this during
But
Christmas. But it's good.
They don't
Like
really
same
make,
with Elf. Like I don't
Yeah.
hate Elf. Like
No,
it's a good movie. I just don't have to watch it every year.
They don't really make Christmas movies like those anymore. Anyways, like
Now they
unless it's got
have-
like it would have to be like Spider-Man's Christmas or whatever, like basically because nothing is original anymore. So or the sequel to I think they're coming out with like the Santa Claus show or something like that with Tim Allen or
the bloody Santa Claus one. Santa
nothing.
comes to kill everyone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like some dude with the long hair and the death metal that lives in his mom's basement, just like I'm going to that.
But yeah, you gotta like in my home we listen to Instant Christmas, listen to Sia's Christmas. My son likes that. There's Pentatonics has got a good Christmas album. There's Punko's Christmas. Those are good. Those are always good. So yeah, we mix it up. We don't have like we don't got like the like why Christmas. We don't do that. We don't do that either.
Yeah.
So like I do like what's that rocking around the Christmas tree because I like Home Alone and I like that scene where he's like doing the cardboard cutouts and everything. So
That's a good movie. Yes.
it is a good movie. The Cowboy. Did we discuss why the Vikings will lose? We said the secondary.
Yeah, I said secondary and protecting Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
Sorry for the rant. My friends had blasted me all week about it. So I mean, I had a platform to get it out. So
There you go. There you go. We
Yes.
will make sure that this gets out and everyone's able to hear your opinion. Yeah.
Coming up next on YouTube Shorts.
Those injuries do worry me. I am worried, about the Christian Darrisaw injury. I am worried about Caleb Evans has been playing well. So I'm worried about that. I know CeeDee Lamb's he's a great receiver. I think Ezekiel Elliott's a little banged up, so let's keep an eye on that. And Dak Prescott, he's played pretty well against the Vikings in the past. When he's played, I think he's played against them twice, and the other two times the Vikings saw Andy Dalton, Cooper Rush, and that didn't work out. So maybe it's a good thing that Dak Prescott's playing this weekend because it didn't work out so well against Cooper Rush and Andy Dalton. But yeah, that's secondary. But the play of Patrick Peterson has me a little more confident because he seems to be getting back to that, at least a Pro Bowl level this year, especially the last few weeks. He's just been playing out of his mind. Did you watch I think it was the field access for the Vikings Bills game? It was like a 10-minute video that the Vikings put out of like a bunch of guys mic'd up and everything.
I gotta watch this week's. I saw the one with Washington. I didn't know they released this week's, but the first one, it's just cool. It's really cool.
Yeah,
just
they
seeing all
they
that
showed
stuff,
after Patrick Peterson made the game clinching interception, Harrison Smith was like going nuts, like get him his jacket, like his Hall of Fame jacket, like get him his jacket. I've never seen Harrison Smith that animated. Like he's like something's been brought out of him this year that we haven't seen before because he's been like kind of getting in all the fun that the Vikings have been doing.
Kevin
this year.
O'Connell's like, you can show emotion every now and then,
you can talk. Like you can.
I'm not gonna yell at you if you talk.
Yeah, like it's okay. But yeah, you got a final score prediction for Sunday?
Top of my head, let's go 27-21 Vikes. I think the Vikings win. I'm a little concerned. Everybody thinks that this is just going to be smooth sailing to the Super Bowl now. I don't think so, but I think 27-21 Vikes score 4 touchdowns, missed Greg Joseph extra point.
Oh, the only people that think it's smooth sailing are the people that have never watched a Viking season before, because we know it's
Emmanuel Acho turning into his first game on
Bill
Sunday.
Belichick.
Just like, this team's good. They do what they do.
Vince Lombardi could be the coach of the Vikings right now. I mean, be like, I don't know. So like, can't be Bill Belichick though, because apparently he's terrible according to LaShawn McCoy. I'm gonna go. The Vikings have been putting some points on the board recently, so I'm gonna go 33-24. We'll do that. I'll put that down. 33.
Ooh, you got them winning by more than one possession. That is,
I know, right?
Cardinal sin this year, but I like it.
I would also,
like. Why not just kick the hell out of the Cowboys? Like
right?
I mean, we saw what Green Bay did to them, and Green Bay looked broken 2 weeks ago. So,
and they were down. The Packers were down what? 14
points.
Yeah. So Cowboys are good. We can't. The Vikings shouldn't be looking ahead of them, and I don't think they are. I think they know that they're a good team. They can beat them. And unfortunately, before they returned from the bye, I predicted the Vikings to beat the Bills, and then I predicted them to lose to the Cowboys because that's just, we're used to those letdowns. I'm hoping it's not true, but I could see it happening. We're gonna get a letdown eventually with the Vikings. I would love to say that they're gonna be 16-1, but realistically, that's not gonna happen. Like,
Right.
they're only gonna get so many double doinks. They're only gonna get so many, crazy Justin Jefferson catches. They're only going to get so many fumbles at the goal line that have never happened in NFL history. But yeah, we'll go 33-24. We'll get crazy 2-possession game. But yeah, that's going to be it for us today. We'll be back on Monday after hopefully a Vikings win. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like this video. Follow the Viking Age on Twitter and Facebook, and the audio version of this podcast will be up by the morning on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. But until next time, Chris and I will talk to you later.